Welcome to This Week in High School Sports. I'm Teresa Whipple. Steve, it's spring and May, which means we're getting to playoffs, so there's a lot to talk about today.
Yeah, pretty much every sport we cover is either already into postseason play or they're getting very close, all of them concluding in regular seasons anyway this week.
Okay. Well, and before we do that, we are going to talk about our sponsor, Red Onion Burgers, and we have root beer.
We did bring root beer, Red
Very
Onion.
nice.
They sell growlers. You can get your own growler filled, and I went by there on my way in and got some Big E's Ale root beer. For those of you who are adults, you can also go in and get growlers full of beer as well. But Big E's offers a little bit of everything, and Red Onion offers a little bit of everything, and then some. So again, Red Onion Burgers on 212th and 44th, and once again, we continue their continued support.
And it's time to toast the moms.
Absolutely.
Happy Mother's Day to all those moms out there, because without the moms and dads who are supporting these athletes, those kids probably wouldn't be getting to where they need to be.
Yeah, I'll take a quick moment too to say hello to my own mom, who watches this show regularly every single week. I think she's our biggest fan. So Mom, thank you for everything you do for me. Happy Mother's Day. I love you very much. Mom started chemotherapy the day after Mother's Day last year. So now she's in remission, so much happier Mother's Day for us in 2016 than 2015. So thank you, Mom.
Very good, and happy Mother's Day to you, Mrs. Willits, and all the moms out there.
And I got off the phone with my mom earlier, wanted me to, at the very end of the phone call, she said, make sure you wish Teresa a happy Mother's Day. So
very nice.
Happy Mother's Day from Mom.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, so on to track and field.
Yeah, we're going to talk about track and field right off the bat. It was Edmonds School District finals this week. So this is all 4 schools in the Edmonds School District, both boys and girls, competing separately. And each of them has their own trophy that they compete for every year. And this goes back into, I think, the 60s. So it's kind of a big deal. They all want to try to get their hands on this trophy and get their particular year engraved on it. And on Friday night, all 8 of those teams, if you will, 4 boys, 4 girls, competed over at Edmonds Stadium. And before the thing got started, and if we can put that picture up here, we have a picture of Dwayne Lewis. Dwayne also has on his right Rob McMains, who is the athletic director at Lynnwood High School. On his left, that is David Golden, the principal at Lynnwood High School. Dwayne Lewis has been coaching now for 50 years. It's 50. He's been at Lynnwood High School for 45 of those years. So they gave him a commemorative plaque before the track meet started to honor him for those 50 years. So Dwayne, congratulations. That's quite the honor for him, and I know the Lynnwood Royals have been better for having his services over that time.
Yeah, wow, 50 years is a long time. And I think the athletes are really loyal to him. Wasn't it Michaela Pivic and Jordan Edwards who had said that one of the reasons they were sticking with track was because of him?
Jordan specifically said that when we interviewed her about a month and a half ago, right at the end of the basketball season, that because it was his 50th year, she wanted to make sure she was on this team this year.
Yeah, that's great.
But getting back to the results of that meet, Lynnwood not only honored Dwayne by doing well, they went out and got the girls' trophy again. They won by the slimmest of margins. They won by a single point over Edmonds-Woodway. Oh, by the way, it was Dwayne Lewis's birthday this weekend as well, so they celebrated with hamburgers afterwards, so that was kind of fun. But Lynnwood, who was expected to win, did in fact do so, but it was by a 1-point margin. So Lynnwood takes the girls' title for the 2nd consecutive year, which is a pretty big deal because prior to that, Edmonds-Woodway had won it 13 out of 14 years. Yeah. So Lynnwood, back-to-back champs. And then on the other side of things, the Lynnwood boys won their 3rd straight title, so they're keeping their trophy. Should mention a few different folks that we had participating in that event as well. We've got one picture we're going to put up right now, as it wasn't just about the teams, it was also about the individuals. We have Harry White defeating Grant Whitcutt in the 300-meter hurdles. So Harry won the championship there. Wasn't such a bad day for Grant either, though. Grant set a meet record, I think a record that had stood for 26 years, by jumping or pole vaulting 14 feet and 9 inches. So a great job, Grant. We've got another picture of Malia Pivic that we'll put up there. Malia, the junior, won the 3,200 meter. Malia, by the way, is expected to maybe win state this year. She's the #1 ranked runner in the state right now by about 20 seconds, too. So she's got a little bit of a cushion there. Some other athletes that we want to also give a shout out to, we've got Cyrus Marshall that we'll put up on the screen. We just mentioned Grant Whitcutt finished 1st in the pole vaults. Cyrus took 2nd, so nice job, Cyrus, from Meadowdale. And then we've got one more picture to put up. It's Michaela Pivic and Jessica On. Michaela with Lynnwood, Jessica with Mountlake Terrace, and they finished 1 and 2 in the 800 meter. While we're talking about Michaela Pivic, we should mention she also won the 1600. And if that wasn't enough, she set a meet record with a throw of 140 feet and 9 inches in the javelin. So not a bad day for her at all. And again, congratulations to the Lynnwood Royals girls and the Edmonds-Woodway boys for taking those trophies home with them this year.
Yeah, great job, guys. Wow. Amazing. Okay, and now we've got softball. They end their regular season this week, right?
They do. 3 of our schools end their season on Tuesday. All of our 4 schools play Monday, Tuesday, and then Meadowdale has to play a makeup game for a rainout earlier this year, so they're going to play 3 times in 3 days. They conclude on Wednesday. We already know who's in the playoffs next week. We just don't know the order yet, and it's kind of a big deal. Meadowdale right now with a 1.5 game lead. They're 13-2 in the division. Glacier Peak is behind them with a 12-4 record. Edmonds-Woodway and Mountlake Terrace are 1 game behind Glacier Peak. And the interesting thing is all these teams play each other this week. And it's set up to where you want one of the top 2 seeds, because if you end up 3rd or 4th, you have to play the 2 tough teams in the North Division, which is Everett and Marysville-Pilchuck. You have to play them right away in the first round. And really, if you can avoid them, you'd rather do so. So there's a little bit of jockeying going on to see who gets which positions, which is a big deal, and we'll find out and we'll know by Wednesday. But certainly a lot of big matchups coming up in softball this week.
Okay, and baseball, some playoff action already.
Yeah, a very interesting way that the baseball season played out. We should cover the regular season first. The regular season ended last week. Top 3 teams making the playoffs automatically. 4th place team has to play a loser or out game, a play-in game, if you will, and the 5th place team gets left home. Probably one of the closest races we've ever seen in Westco history, maybe. We had 3 teams finish in a tie for first place with records of 12-6. It was Lynnwood, Glacier Peak, and Shorewood. Edmonds-Woodway finishes in 4th place, only 1 game back, so Edmonds-Woodway had to play an extra game this week. And then Meadowdale ends their season with 2 big victories, and yet they come up short. They're 2 games out of first place, yet it puts them in 5th place overall, and it leaves them out of the playoffs. So the Mavericks, great season, unfortunately for them. They always say every game matters, and this year it really did. Edmonds-Woodway, we mentioned they had to do a play-in game to get into districts. They played that game last Thursday, and they got a nice 1-0 victory over Marysville-Getchell. So congratulations to the Warriors. Brady Edwards pitched 6 in the 3rd innings of shutout baseball. Nick Hull came in for the save, got 2 outs, so they did a fantastic job there. And then on Saturday, district playoffs started. Edmonds-Woodway, it's a double elimination tournament. Not quite the same success they had earlier in the week. They lost their game to Glacier Peak 5-1. So they head on over to the consolation bracket. They now need to win 3 straight games this week to get to state. Lynnwood, on the other hand, had much better luck. Lynnwood gets a 2-1 victory over Stanwood in extra innings, I might add. It was 8-inning victory. And rather than tell you about that game or talk about it in greater detail, we brought 2 of the Lynnwood Royals baseball players in, Jared Whitman and Brady Girgus, to talk about not only that game, but how their season's gone so far and what we can expect from the Royals coming up throughout the rest of district play. As we just mentioned, the Lynnwood Royals baseball team is already into the playoffs. Won their first game on Saturday, puts them into the district semifinals coming up on Tuesday. And with me right now, 2 members of that team, Jared Whitman, Brady Girgus. Guys, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
I'm going to start off with you, Jared. You were one of the top pitchers coming back from last season. You had a 7-1 record as a sophomore. A lot of expectations for you this year. Unfortunately, the elbow's been giving you a hard time, and I think you've pitched a total of 8 innings this season.
Yep.
7 of which were in 1 game, and you just happened to throw a no-hitter, so you didn't give up a hit all season long. I guess right off the bat, how is the elbow feeling, and what's the prognosis?
Oh, right now, we're giving it 6 to 8 weeks. I'll be back in 2nd week of June, so I'll be out for the summer and unfortunately the rest of the season. But I think it's going pretty well so far. Elbow's hopefully getting better, but.
Now, fortunately for the team, you have a pretty good bat as well, so you're not able to pitch right now, but you are the designated hitter this year. A little different role for you. How are you adjusting to that?
Not really, not much of a adjustment. Just when they're in the field, I'm in the dugout, rooting them on, doing the best I can when I hit. That's pretty much all I could do, but.
And so far, so good. You're in the playoffs with it, right?
Yep.
Now, Brady here is the catcher. You've caught every single game for 3 years. Is that correct for the Royals? Now, I guess talk to me about your season a little bit. How do you assess your own play? And we'll talk about some of your pitchers after that.
I feel like I've played pretty well. It's my senior year. I needed to step up. You know, we lost a lot of guys last year that were seniors. So I feel like I needed to fill a gap, basically. I feel like I've done that pretty well.
And not only behind the plate and when you're hitting, but You also catch all these pitchers. What's it been like without Jared out there? Who are some of the guys who have replaced him, and how have they done so far?
It's definitely been tough without Jared, but there's been guys that have been stepping up. Like Bryce has had a really great year this year, really stepped up in a senior role.
And that's Bryce Foster.
Bryce Foster, yes. David Cooper has also stepped up. He was mainly a bullpen pitcher for us, but we put him on the starting mound this year, and he's been really well. And Kyler, I know Kyler doesn't pitch that much, but we put him on there, and he's thrown hard for us.
And that's Kyler McMahon, who's usually playing shortstop, right?
Yeah.
He's not pitching. So a great season for you guys thus far. Very close all throughout the standings. I think 2 games separated first place through 5th place. It got you guys to the playoffs, and you got the victory 2-1 over Stanwood on Saturday, a game that went into extra innings.
Yep.
A very intense game. I know, Jared, we were talking to you a little earlier. You had a chance to push those runners over in the 7th and didn't quite get it done, but you guys got the win.
Yeah, good.
You'll take that, right?
Any way we could get the runs. Just glad we got the win. Go play Marysville-Pilchuck this Tuesday. Hopefully we can get a win out of that.
Yeah, we should give a nice shout out to Bryce Foster too. Bryce not
Yeah.
only pitched a complete
yeah.
game, winning double to walk off to get the victory, right? And Brady, you were behind the plate for that entire game. How was Bryce's stuff that day?
He was on all day. I mean, he knew what he wanted to throw, and he would throw it, and he would get out of jams early. And that team got hits there and there, but they never really strung them together against him, and he really settled down.
Now, you guys play Tuesday against Marysville Pilchuck, which Jared just mentioned a minute ago. That's the semifinals. This is a double elimination tournament. If you win that game, you automatically go to the district championship game. So all you really need to do is win the semifinal game and you qualify for state. Yep. I know you guys would rather have the championship outright there. If you lose, you got to go through the consolation bracket. I guess let's start off by talking about the semifinal game on Tuesday over at Meridian Fields in Shoreline against Marysville Pilchuck. You guys both played on that team that won the district championship last year. Brady, what would it mean for you guys to get this win on Tuesday?
I mean, it would mean that we're going to state again, and that would be really, really fantastic. For my senior year to go out like that would be pretty sweet. We're taking this one game at a time, and hopefully we can beat them.
Now, Jared, if you guys do beat them, you get to play at Everett Stadium, which is always kind of a treat, right? Where the Aqua Sox play. Field you guys are familiar with. You played there last year. To get to that point and to play in that championship game, what does it mean for you guys having come off and being the defending champions?
It means a lot. I mean, for our seniors, it'll be their last season with us. It'll be great to get that win for them, because this will be their last year with us, and I'll be off to college next year. So it'll be great to get that win for them.
Sure. And now both of you guys again playing in the state tournament last year, didn't quite have the results you wanted once you got to state, but it's tough to get there. The fact that you guys have that experience already, having won the district championship and having been to state, does that help you guys right now this time of year in the playoffs?
I think it does. I think that since we've been there, we know we're not as nervous as the other team. So I feel like that it gives us a little bit of an edge.
Sure, and we'll see if they can carry that edge after Tuesday into Saturday, hopefully, and possibly in the championship game. We hope, fingers crossed. That would be at 4 o'clock on Saturday afternoon at Everett Memorial Stadium. And then I guess I should ask you guys. I know Brady, you're a senior. Jared, you're a junior. Brady, I'll start with you since you're the elder statesman here. What does college look like for you? Are you going to continue to play baseball?
For as right now, I have verbally committed to Everett Community College to play baseball next year.
Okay, great. So we'll be able to watch Brady up there in Everett. And Jared, I know you've got some offers already, right? Tell me about who's been talking to you and what your thoughts are.
Well, I've had offers from Oregon State and Washington State. They both offered me the same 75%, but I'm still talking it over with my parents and stuff on what we think is financially the best for me. Really, my opinion, I really want to go to Oregon State because they have a really good program. I have a couple of my buddies going there already. So
A couple of national championships too, right?
yeah.
Wouldn't be a bad thing. And luckily for you, you're a junior, so you still have some time, right?
Yep.
Well, great. So again, these guys are going to be playing in the semifinals on Tuesday against Marysville Pilchuck. Hopefully they're playing on Saturday also in the championship game. Either way, we'll be following them all throughout the playoffs. Jared Whitman, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Brady Girgus,
Thank you.
appreciate you guys coming in, and best of luck to you for the rest of districts.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, good luck to the Royals. I hope that they advance and end up in the final game on Saturday.
Yeah, it would be their second district championship in a row. They did win it over Shorewood last year, which was a big deal. Shorewood ended up going on and losing in the state championship game. So if the Royals can get that trophy again, be a huge honor for them. Again, if they win on Tuesday, they would play in the championship game at 4 p.m. on Saturday They would play the winner of the Glacier Peak Arlington game, which is the other semifinal game. And even if they're not in the championship game, that game on Saturday is a doubleheader. The third place game is at 1 o'clock, which in some ways has more playoff implications. If you win that game, you advance to state. If you lose, you're done. And we're hoping that Edmonds-Woodway gets in that game. They would need to win 3 in a row this week to get there. So fingers crossed it could be Edmonds-Woodway at 1 o'clock and maybe Lynnwood in the championship game at 4 o'clock.
Yeah, that'd be great. We always love to see our district teams, and it's at the place where the Aqua Sox play, which is always a fun time.
Yeah, it's a big honor for those players to get out of the high school environment and to play in front of all those seats and with all those fans and the fancy sponsorship on the wall and everything else that goes along with it.
Yeah, okay. Well, and we've got tennis and golf stuff coming up this week. What's going on?
We do. Tennis is going to have their, tennis girls are going to have their divisional tournament, which starts on Tuesday. It's a 2-day tournament, and that's going to be at Glacier Peak. Do want to give a shout out to the Edmonds-Woodway Warriors. Their girls golf team finished the season with a 9-3 conference record, so they'll be very competitive at that tournament, as well as some of our individuals. Again, the other 3 schools in the district and not having a lot of team success this year, but there's certainly quite a few great individual players that should do fairly well at that tournament, so we will be following them and try to get reports next week. And then on the golf side of things, they're also having their divisional tournaments this week. Boys are going to play on Thursday over at the Snohomish Golf Course, and the girls are going to play on Wednesday. And again, this is the Westco South Division. The number 1 golfer in the South Division right now on the girls side of things is Morgan Rood. We brought Morgan in earlier. Morgan's from Meadowdale High School, and we had a conversation with her not only about golf, but some of the other activities that she's involved with, and she does quite a bit. Here's that interview. So as we mentioned, the South Divisional Championships in golf are coming up this Wednesday at the Snohomish Golf Course. And with me right now, the number 1 ranked player in the South, Morgan Rood from Meadowdale. Morgan, first of all, congratulations on your season so far and having the most points in the South Division. Let's talk a little bit about the upcoming playoff here on Wednesday, the divisional championships. How excited are you for this? And I guess right after this, you go on to districts next week, and then state after that. What are your goals for this upcoming season?
So for divisionals and districts, I'd really like, for divisionals, I'd like to be in top 3, and districts, I really just want to win districts.
Win it outright. There you go.
Just win it out.
And you got 12th in state last year, I should mention.
Yeah, I did, which was really a lot of fun, just because my game, I had to just lock my driver in the van. I was like, I'm not using it. It's just not today. So I played my entire round was just pretty much my 3-wood and my 6-iron, and it was a struggle, but somehow I was saving par a lot, and it was a lot of fun to have my coach there and have one of my teammates just watch me, and it was a blast.
So we've kind of seen a progression from you over the last few years. You qualified for state your sophomore year.
Yep.
Didn't make the final cut after the first day. Last year you made state and finished 12th.
Yep.
What have you done to improve your game this year if you want to try to get maybe into that top 5?
So for this year, I have been practicing putting and short game just all around because I'm generally pretty long. My drives, I can get off the tee really well. But just within that 120 yards, you have to be really, really accurate. And I've been trying to zone in my approach shots to about 10 yards away. At least I would really like it to be like 10 feet, but can't do that all the time. But that's something I've really been working on. What else? Putting is a major thing. Getting him within 6 feet, I'm pretty accurate. So that has been a really, really big help.
Yeah, and take off a few shots. It could be the difference between right outside the top 10 and maybe finishing up near the top.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely.
A lot of the girls, it was just like from first on down, it was like 1 stroke and then one more stroke and then down. So it was really, really close to being tied or not.
Yeah, definitely. You have a very interesting background, by the way. I know you've played softball in the past.
Yep.
You've also skied. I think we should talk about the skiing first and foremost.
Okay.
What is your background in skiing? A competitive skier at that.
Yeah, so I started skiing when I was 2. My dad has been a ski instructor. My brother skis. All my family skis, just like fishing. And so I got into a free ride program, which is you find the biggest, steepest line and you go down it. And it's a lot of fun, and you get judged on your line, fluidity, style, control and technique. It's like your big mountain powder cat skiing type of stuff. There is a tour called the JFT Junior Freeride Tour. I used to compete on it. I was doing it my freshman year, in my sophomore year. My junior year, I couldn't do it because I tore a ligament in my left ankle. Jump roping. Don't jump rope. I don't like it. And because I was in training for it, and then that happened, so I couldn't really ski that much last year, and then I didn't get to ski as much this year. But all of that, I think, really helped with a lot of leg strength that I have, just because I can generate a lot of club head speed.
And you're saying the leg strength for softball and skiing. I mean, how have those two sports maybe helped your golf game?
Just a lot of like being able to get the power, like when I shift down, and then when I turn my hips, I can whip it. Yeah.
So rather than go out and just play golf all the time, go ski a little bit, and you get your golf game better, right?
Yeah.
There you go. That makes sense. And we should talk about your summers too, because this is interesting to me. You live in a region in the Pacific Northwest where most golfers, if they're really going to hone their game and get better, they have to play all summer long. Your summers are occupied elsewhere. Talk to me a little bit about what you've been doing the previous, I guess, 3 summers, and what you're going to be doing after you graduate in June.
So after I will graduate, I will be heading up to Alaska and Prince William Sound for my 3rd season there and my 4th season overall fishing. I commercially fish on a purse seiner. It's 54 feet long. There are 5 crewmen.
So is this like Deadliest Catch?
No, not like that. It's you have a boat, a big boat, and a little boat, and the net goes out, and then you bring it around, and you have a cork line and your lead line. And when it comes through the power block, I pile the cork line.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So,
Now, can I make a correlation between fishing and golfing? Is there a hand-eye coordination thing that maybe helps your golf game at all? Or
no, but I think a lot of like my shoulder strength comes from piling gear like this and then flipping it. So I have a lot of arm power too.
Now, in preparing for this interview, and I always think this is fascinating when we talk to high school students because your plates are always so full as it is.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you keep pretty busy on Friday nights too. You're active in your community. Tell me about what you're doing on Fridays.
So on Friday nights, I volunteer at the Lynnwood Elks on 196 as a waitress. I've been volunteering there since I was 12.
Okay.
My dad's a member there, so that's how I got involved. And I waitress and I bus and I do everything. And a lot of the people there really like having me there just because I golf and they have a golf club and I join them, and it's a really fun
So it's a great conversation piece for you too then.
Yeah.
So now, having said all this, you're playing golf right now. You're going to be fishing in the summer. College aspirations, perhaps a golf career in college?
Yeah, I am looking at a few colleges. I'm not too sure where I'm going yet, but I think I definitely will be playing next year.
Okay, so we will stay tuned for that. But until then, you've got South Division Championships this coming week. Again, that's on Wednesday at the Snohomish Golf Course. The following week, it's districts, and then after that, the following week, it's state time. So we'll see how Morgan does. Morgan, Rood, thank you very much for coming on with us.
I appreciate it.
Best of luck to you and to your Meadowdale teammates this week.
Thank you.
Morgan is amazing with all of her outside activities and the commercial fishing. I was talking to her before you interviewed her, and I had no idea that there were so many women who were involved in that particular endeavor. And the fact that it helps her with her upper body strength in the golf course, it's just fascinating.
Yeah, not only women, but her age. I mean,
Yeah,
to go up there as a
age too,
teenager, and I mean, we see all these big burly guys always doing it. Good for Morgan though. She's doing great things, and boy, quite a bit on her plate, quite frankly.
Yeah, that's right. As do many of the students we interview. It's just, I don't know how they get through it all. Well, so now we've got soccer. That's left, right?
Yeah, soccer playoffs started on Saturday. The district playoffs, much like baseball, it's a double elimination tournament. Big news right now is Edmonds-Woodway and Lynnwood, both of which won their first round games. Lynnwood defeated Ferndale 2-0. Danny Vanger and Riley Johnson, again, surprise, surprise, they tend to score all the goals for Lynnwood, and they do it again. They get 2 against Ferndale the other day. They get that victory. That sets up a Lynnwood matchup against Edmonds-Woodway in the semifinals. Edmonds-Woodway gets there by defeating Mountlake Terrace 3-0. In that game, Armin Tanau had 2 goals in the first 19 minutes, and really that was the big difference. Our friend Ethan Hopkins, who we've talked about before, he also got a goal in that matchup. So that sends Edmonds-Woodway and Lynnwood into the semifinals where they will play each other on Tuesday night. That's also over at Edmonds Stadium at 7 p.m. But another storyline this week that was kind of interesting was the week leading up to the playoffs. We decided to broadcast a game on the Sound Live Sports Network last Monday night. It was an interesting one. It was Mountlake Terrace versus Oak Harbor, which initially when we were looking at the schedule a few weeks ago, it didn't look as appealing as we thought it would. then all of a sudden we get down to playoff time, and it was the second to last game of the year. They were tied for 7th place in a league that sends 7 teams to the playoffs. So both teams needing a victory in that one. Back and forth matchup the entire way. Mountlake Terrace falls behind. They score 2 goals in the last 14 minutes, one of which happens in the last minute of play to get the 4-3 victory over Oak Harbor. Try saying that one fast. And then 2 days later, they get a 1-0 victory over Shorecrest, and they advance into districts. Again, they did lose a match to Edmonds-Woodway on Saturday, but it's double elimination, so they head to the consolation round now. But after the week they had just getting into the playoffs, we thought we needed to bring a couple of those star players in to talk to them about what happened last week. So we brought the 2 players in that scored all 4 of the goals in the Oak Harbor game. Here are the Mountlake Terrace Hawks talking about their week and what it looks like for the playoffs for them. So as we just mentioned, district playoffs are underway in soccer. We also talked about that game on Monday night, the one we broadcasted last week, right before the playoffs started. Mountlake Terrace needing a victory over Oak Harbor, and they get it 4-3. And these 2 guys with me right now, they scored all 4 goals in the game. It's Gavin Scott and Bobby Stoyanov are joining us right now, and appreciate you guys being here. Gavin, we'll start with you. You scored 2 goals in that game. Tell me a little bit about what it was about the Oak Harbor game that you guys did differently from your other games. That was your highest goal total of the year.
Well, for Oak Harbor as a team in general, we kind of came to the game already knowing like we could just easily kind of possess the ball around them, kind of keep it on the ground. My first goal, I believe, we had a breakaway from Malik Kiba. I thought it was a foul on the goalie, so I kind of just took that a little bit slow, but just slotted that one in the corner. And then obviously my second goal to tie it up came from another cross from Malik, and that was a shot off the crossbar.
And you got
I
him,
mean,
you got him
yeah,
in, yeah.
yeah.
Now, Bobby's goals were the bookend goals, if
Yeah.
you will. You scored 2 minutes into the match to give your team a 1-0 lead or 1-0 lead. Gavin just mentioned he scored a goal that tied it up at 3-3 with about 14 minutes to go.
Yeah.
Under 2 minutes, the clock is kept on the field, so we didn't know exactly how much time was left. But with about a minute left, Bobby, you put in the game winner on the left side. Walk me through that goal a little bit.
Well, right before it, I went over to Gavin, and the first thing I said is we need to find a way to win this game. And then we're playing defense, and all of a sudden Diego Aguniga gets the ball and just kind of clears it forward. And I took a couple of touches, and I looked up and saw there was one guy to beat, and I just took it by him and slotted it near post, and we went off celebrating. And
Now, I should mention, when you went off celebrating, I believe the shirt came off. We were broadcasting the game. That gets you a yellow card, right? But but at the same time, you just hit a goal winner, a game winner that pretty much put you guys into the hunt for the playoffs and ultimately got you into the playoffs. Did Coach say anything to you when you came to the sideline?
oh, he was more than ecstatic. We were all having a great time.
So the shirt can come off. You can get all the yellow cards you
Yeah.
want as long as you're getting game winners, right? Gavin, is that usually the way it works?
Yeah. With George, yes.
There you go. So that's what happened there. Should mention the very next game was 2 days later. You still needed a victory to clinch a playoff spot. Interesting game. You won 1-0 over Shorecrest. Should mention that the only goal of that game was Charles Bates. Now, Charles was playing goalkeeper the game in which you guys scored your 4 goals
Yeah.
because of the fact that Ruiz was
On a red card.
out on a red card. So you needed him to step out of position, play goalkeeper for one game or one match, and then he comes back and scores the winning goal. It's quite the week for him, right?
Yeah.
I feel bad. Yeah, I felt really bad for him, but I mean, he stepped up and did the job well. So
Yeah, the thing about Bates is, he's there for the team, and coach told him to play in goal, and he didn't complain about it, didn't say a word, stepped in, did his job. Next game came out, scored the winner, and couldn't ask for anything more of him.
Now, you guys, a little bit of a rough season at times. You didn't always know if you were going to make the playoffs or not. Obviously, you needed those 2 victories last week just to get in. Tell me about the season a little bit. I know not as much offensive production as you maybe wanted, but Gavin, what are your thoughts? I mean, the team seems to be kind of gelling more or less right at the end of the year, which is when you want a team to play their best.
I mean, starting from, I mean, even Bobby knows this. Like, starting from the beginning of the year, we didn't quite know our formation really well. I mean, coach, he had me like left wing, center mid, and then had me at forward. He had Bobby in the center of the park. He just didn't know where to put anyone. But I mean, I guess kind of we situated with having me and Bobby up top, and then it kind of ended up working well for us towards like half the year and towards the end of the year, in which obviously we started like getting wins that way and putting the goals in we need to get. So
Sure.
Yeah, Well, yeah, I agree with Gavin. We for sure in the beginning of the season, nobody really knew. We were all mixed and matched within our positions, and then we started going a little downhill, and then the coach kind of changed it up in the middle of the season, and then things started clicking, and just the right time for us right towards the end.
Yeah, now we're into district playoffs. I should mention good news, bad news. Bad news is that you dropped one on Saturday to Edmonds-Woodway in the
Yeah.
first round. Good news is that it's a double elimination tournament. Unfortunately, you now have to win 3 matches in a row just to get into the state tournament. Your first matchup coming on Tuesday, you're going up to Ferndale. A little bit of an unknown, right? Ferndale's a team that you guys don't get to see very often. What do you guys need to do, or what will be the keys to that matchup to get a victory over Ferndale and possibly move on?
Well, we watched them play against Lynnwood, I believe it was, and they're not a bad team at all. So really, it's going to come down to how much we want it compared to them. And you know, I think if we go out there and we play our game, anything could happen. We could easily come out with a win. So hopefully, we go out there and we give it 110 and take that long bus ride back with happiness.
Yeah, it'd be nice. It's a much easier bus ride when you come away with a victory, right?
Yeah.
Now, you guys are a pretty young squad, only 2 seniors on the team. Gavin, you're a junior. Bobby, you're a sophomore. I know you're still looking for this year, and you've got the playoff week ahead of you, but certainly you've got to be looking a little bit towards next year, knowing that this team is so young.
Yeah.
Are you kind of viewing this a little bit as a bit of a rebuild year and a chance for you guys to get better and work together as a team heading into next year?
Yeah, me and Bobby actually we talked about this recently about heading into next year, and we're just like holy moly, like we have the same team next year. We have our 2 seniors, Derek and Austin Burns, so we just need someone to fill kind of our outside D position. But I think other than that, like we're gonna have the same exact team with just a little bit more chemistry. So we'll definitely be way better next year.
And I know sometimes with chemistry, rituals or things that the team does together often help in that. I know you guys do something with your wrist before the games, right?
Yeah.
Bobby, why don't you tell me a little bit about what you guys are doing and who you're doing that with?
Yeah, so myself, Gavin here, and Malik Kiba, 3 of us before every game, we take white wrist tape and we put it around our left wrist, and Malik will write grandpa on his, Gavin will write about his mom, and then I just casually just write family, and we go out there and just kind of helps
Inspirational,
us.
huh?
Yeah, it's
Yeah, yeah.
inspirational.
And speaking of which, you guys wore pink tape on Saturday for Mother's Day, is that
Mother's
correct?
Day, true.
So
Yeah.
very nice. So guys care about their moms and their families, and they care about each other as their teammates. And it's worked so far. They're into the playoffs. So again, guys, Tuesday night, big matchup against Ferndale. Hopefully you get the win, and then you move on later on this week. Congratulations on making it to districts, and
Thank
best of luck
Thank
to you.
you.
So Bobby Stoyanov and Gavin Scott, thanks for joining us, and watch these guys play on Tuesday night up in Ferndale. If you can't make it, which most of you can't, we'll get you the results next week.
Folks shouldn't miss that Edmonds-Woodway Lynnwood game. That should be a good one.
Yeah, it's a rematch too. Last Wednesday night, those two played to end the regular season. A game that Edmonds-Woodway defeated Lynnwood in overtime, I might add, 2-1. So again, this time everything's on the line. It's for the right to go to the championship game, and if you get to the championship, you automatically clinch a spot in state. And I should mention, in the other side of the bracket, also playing in the semifinals, it's Glacier Peak and Shorewood. Glacier Peak defeated Edmonds-Woodway on penalty kicks last year to win the championship. So I'm sure if Edmonds-Woodway does get past Lynnwood, they'll keep that game in the back of their mind and they'll be ready to go.
I'm sure they will. Well, and we will have all the results next week. So join us back here next Sunday, and have a great week, everybody. And
More up here.
cheers.